Can you imagine knocking on the door of a double-wide trailer and grabbing a person who is 5 months away from being homeless in our country and asking them their biggest problem? How do you think the word Iran is going to come up much?
Welcome back to the channel, everybody. And yes, tensions in the Middle East in this conflict are an all-time high breaking point. And U.S. politicians are begging you, please, believe us. It is in the best interest of the United States to enter this conflict. And unfortunately, even comments from the president, all the maneuvering of multiple aircraft carriers, multiple air wings, all going to the Middle East, are signaling, and people are estimating that the United States is most likely going to enter this conflict in the next 24 to 48 hours. But I saw this tweet from Shawn Ryan that really made me start thinking, because I know my own feelings about this, and we'll share them today. But what do Americans actually think about this? Does America have an appetite for this? So that's what we looked into today. We're going to look at a bunch of different polls that really big YouTubers have put out to get a general idea of, who really actually wants us in this conflict, right? So that's what we're going to do in this video today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Definitely helps the channel. Follow us on Patreon. And yeah, let's jump into this bad boy, okay? First thing we're going to do is look at some interview clips between politicians in Congress on both sides of the aisle, because trust me, it's bipartisan that want us in this thing. Then I'm going to show you all the different polls, what Americans really think. We'll talk about Shawn Ryan's tweet because I think it's really, really important in this. And at the end, I'm going to show you, we're going to take a little trip down memory lane of over the last 25, 30 years, all the ways some individuals have been trying to get us into this conflict, right? So first thing, we're going to look at some clips from politicians on both sides of the aisle. So let's check this out. First one, this one just came out from Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz got absolutely embarrassed in this, but it's important to just see both sides of the aisle. Let's check it out.
You really believe that? We're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here, because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting
This is
Israel.
high stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay.
So there you go, from one of the biggest war hawks there is. But it's not just guys like Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz who want this. It's even people like AOC and John Fetterman. Take a look.
I would say that the United States, our responsibility is to the stability and the security of the region. That means being able to support, yes, Israel in its defensive capacities, right? In its ability, in that context.
Taken side with the regime that doesn't have the kind of values and live the kind of ways that we want here in our country.
There you go, both sides of the aisle. Now, you may be wondering, why do so many politicians want this type of thing so bad? Well, let me explain to you how this money washing machine works, all right? So what you have is the military-industrial complex, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Halliburton, all these different defense contracting companies lobby tens of hundreds of millions of dollars to Washington, D.C. politicians, who then are incentivized to vote on these types of things to get us into conflicts, while they invest in these same defense contractor stocks and make tens to hundreds of millions of dollars off of it, okay? So that they have the financial incentive to put America into these type of conflicts. But again, what we wanted to talk about was, what does America actually think? Do they want us in another conflict in the Middle East? I know I don't. So I looked at some polls. First one we looked at, Jameson Travels, my buddy Jameson, obviously has a huge YouTube channel. And I wanted to look at the really big YouTube channels. That way we had a, really large sample size of people voting in on this. And also, a lot of these are sort of like veteran-esque type of communities. Jameson Travel said, we send troops or aircraft to fight in Israel, ? And as you can see here, 82% of Americans and people viewing said no. No, we don't want it. That is pretty brutal. That's not a 55-45, a 60-40. That is 82-18. Well, maybe that was just Jameson's, community. So I figured, let me look at a community that is the most likely on YouTube to support this conflict of any community, of any YouTuber. So we looked at Charlie Kirk, yes, Zionist Christian Charlie Kirk, who, I mean, he defends Israel to the last breath and, you know, has been pretty adamant about agreeing with everything they're doing in Gaza. So what did his community say when he said, should the U.S. get involved in Israel's war against Iran? Wow, another 80% no, 20% yes. So, I mean, again, you would think this community, more than any other, would be the ones that we would see some type of skew back towards the middle or even in favor of it. But no, that's not what we see. That's not what we see anywhere. It is overwhelming. The United States population is overwhelmingly against this. All right, and why are we against this? A bunch of different reasons, but I'm going to show you this clip from Tim Dillon that really kind of sums it up well before I talk about Shawn Ryan's comment and my own feelings. Let's take a look at that.
What is anyone talking? Is Iran the reason that no one can afford a house? Is Iran the reason that there's fentanyl everywhere? Is Iran the reason that we've got political corruption? Is Russia the reason? Is Iran the reason that we have 12 people that own everything in this country? Is Iran the reason that we have, an epidemic of poisoned food that's killing people and children? And is Iran the reason for any of this? Is Iran the reason that corporations in America just pillage and leave a trail of death and destruction in their wake?
Yeah, I mean, I think that sums it up really well, right? Like, America has 1,000 other problems that we should be heavily focused on, especially the border and the illegal immigrant crisis right now, rather than injecting ourselves in another war all the way across the world that makes no sense for us to be in, objectively, and I'll get to that too. Now, here's what Shawn Ryan said. He said, I've fought enough fake wars. I think I'll sit this one out. Right. And then, speaking for all veterans, typically I don't like to do this. Shawn did this here, but I'm going to agree with him. He says, I'll bet upwards of 99% of the people that fought with me share this same sentiment. I know I do. I agree 1,000%. Almost every global war on terror veteran I know feels the exact same way. Question is, you might be asking yourself, why? Well, because we saw the cost of the global war on terror personally over the last 20 years. Okay. I personally lost friends, teammates to both combat and self-deletion afterwards. Almost everybody I know has as well, right? The PTSD, substance abuse, trauma. And no, I don't want to see the next generation go get put through that for no reason. A lot of people don't understand. We are just now starting to see the societal effects of an entire generation that went and fought that 20-year conflict. Okay? A lot of guys are still serving. And I can tell you, you're going to see more and more. Again, the self-deletion rate's going to continue to ramp up. We don't need to do this to the next generation. You can't convince me that this conflict is worthwhile for us to do that. It's not going to happen. Nobody wants it. Americans don't want it. Veterans don't want it. The right doesn't want it. The left doesn't want it, for the most part, outside the politicians. So I'll say this right up front for Trump. I've been a supporter of this administration. If this could ruin his entire presidency, and I'll just agree with that. If you look at the fracturing of the Republican Party right now, it's breaking apart at the seams. And most of it is because of this, right? Because we were promised no new more foreign wars, no pointless conflicts for no reason. And that's exactly what we're staring down the barrel of right now. And I'll say this, right? Because I get this all the time in the comment section about Israel has the right to defend itself and America has to defend it. Sure, Israel can defend itself. That's fine. However, the supposed reasoning for why this conflict needs to happen does not make any objective sense. And I'm going to show you some clips to show how long we've been trying to get this pulled off for here in a second. But think of it this way. I see this all the time. All the Ted Cruzes and the Sean Hannitys are telling you Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. They can't. Why? Because they'll immediately use it on Israel. So you're telling me, let's think of this, like, break yourselves down, get the emotions out of it, get the politics out of it, and let's think about this logically, just pure logically. Iran, if they were to develop the weapon, and they decided that they were going to use it on Israel for no reason, just because they don't like Israel. Israel also has anywhere from 60 to 400 of them. The United States also, all of NATO. And if you were to preemptively use that weapon, Iran, for no reason on Israel, all of Iran would be turned into a glass parking lot in about 5 minutes. So do you really think that that entire country is just willing to self-delete itself just over its anger at Israel? Really? Because we can juxtapose this with North Korea. North Korea has the bombs. They threaten everybody. They launch them into the water nonstop. But have they ever used one against anybody? No. Why? Because they would get, again, turned into an obsidian parking lot in minutes if they did. So it's a deterrent. So you can't convince me that Iran would just, again, willy-nilly, here you go. Now, I don't personally think anybody should really have nuclear weapons, including Iran. So I don't really have a problem. If Israel wants to, preemptively strike and stop, that's fine. It's your region of the world. You deal with it. But don't come crawling to us for help, which you've already done. But again, we did a whole video on this yesterday about all the ways we're already in this conflict and funding it and all the different things. Okay. So for those of you who are saying, well, no, that's not true. We can't let Iran have them. Sure, fine. They're right about to have it. Are they right about to have it? Let's look at two different clips here. One from Bibi over the years and one from the media apparatus over the years and see how realistic this really is. All right, so let's check these out.
If you take away the Soviet Union and its chief proxy, the PLO, international terrorism would collapse.
If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region. Obviously, we'd like to see a regime change, at least I would, in Iran, just as I would like to see in Iraq. The question now is a practical question. What is the best place to proceed? It's not a question of whether Iraq's regime should be taken out, but when should it be taken out? The more victories you amass, the easier the next victory becomes. The first victory in Afghanistan makes the second victory in Iraq that much easier. The second victory in Iraq will make the third victory that much easier too, but it may change the nature of achieving that victory. In the Middle East, Iran's axis of terror confronts America, Israel, and our Arab friends. This is not a clash of civilizations. It's a clash between barbarism and civilization.
Man, does that speech not sound familiar to right now? It's just the same speech that's just been given over and over and over again to bring the United States in the conflicts that, let me be very clear, Israel has not supported fighting themselves. They didn't send any troops to the global war on terror. Did you know that? But they sure get us to do it quite frequently. Now, let's also look at how long Iran has been days away from getting the weapon. Let's check that out.
On about 12 months to enrich enough nuclear material for a single nuclear weapon.
United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken is warning that Iran is potentially just months away or less from nuclear breakpoint.
Iran is 2 months away from a nuclear weapon, and it's a victory to get them 1 year away?
Iran could be less than a month away from building a nuclear weapon.
Netanyahu has made 2 tough-talking TV appearances, saying that Iran is just months away from making a nuclear bomb.
What is important to understand is that you have to dismantle the entire terror empire, and especially before its main practitioners, the terror states of Iran and Iraq, acquire nuclear weapons. And this, I think, has been a wake-up call from hell. It is telling us you have the power.
All right, so there you go. That's my feelings on this thing. And again, 80+% of Americans pretty much feel the same way. I'm not going to budge an inch. I will say probably from this, I'll say this. If I see the United States physically and actually acknowledge and announce we're doing it, physically and kinetically get involved in this conflict, I will also break ranks like many conservatives and no longer support this administration whatsoever either. That's my official announcement. So those of you who are hardcore, on the right, I'm there with you, but I'm not going to put up with this shit. So, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. And there's going to be lots more coverage of this to come because I think in the next 48 hours, we're probably going to see this. All right. So I catch y'all in the next one. One last thing. We're going live tonight at 5. We'll talk more about it. Also, for all the people in the comments who are going to, say you're anti-Israel, you're anti this. I'm not. I don't care anything about Israel or Iran. Let them both mutually destroy each other. Couldn't care less. But keep us the fuck out of it. Okay? And if you think different, you are a threat to America. Not me. Take care.